Hi there, it's Miss Wyatt here again with your phonics review lesson. So we've talked about this week, we've talked about building words. We have to have a vowel to build a word. And then sometimes we build a nonsense word and we mark those with an asterisk. And the reason we practice with nonsense words is that we'll practice using all of our sounds with words that we don't really know. And also because when we get to really long words, some of those words have syllables in them that look like nonsense words. And then after we looked at that, we looked at spelling with Z and K. And we know that we use, the K takes I and E, and C takes the other three, A, O, and U. Then we looked at some blends. We looked at L blends and R blends. And then we looked at S blends and two other blends, TW and DW. And we talked a little bit about QU. So remember, a blend is when we have two or three letters and they keep their own sounds. You hear all the sounds, just like with salt and pepper. When you put it on food, you taste the salt and you taste the pepper. It's the same with the blends. You hear all the letter sounds, but they stay together as a unit. So today we're going to talk about the San Francisco Zoo rule, okay? Who remembers the San Francisco Zoo rule from last year or maybe the year before? When we talk about words that have a double S, F, and Z, those are our San Francisco Zoo words. And last year, about this time, I went to visit San Francisco and I took some pictures of the San Francisco Zoo signs and San Francisco words. So maybe I can share those with you sometime. But we're going to talk a little bit about those and making words plural. So let's go through these words. Let's look at the words that we have here. We notice that this word has a BL blend at the beginning, and then we have an E, and then we have a double S. So we say bless. And we don't say s, we don't say bless, we just say bless. And then in the next one has the BL blend, I, and then the double S. So we say bliss. And then we have no blend on this one, a U and a double F. So we say buff. And then we have CL, I, and the double F. We say cliff. A cliff is like the side of a mountain. And buff is like when you make things really shiny, and bliss is really happy when you're really, really happy, and bless is when you say good things about something. So then on the bottom row, we have cuff, C-U-F-F. Cuff is like the edge of your shirt or the edge of your pants. And then we have buzz. I think most of you are familiar with that word, Buzz Lightyear, but also buzz is the sound that a bee makes. We don't say buzz, we just say buzz. We have fizz, like what's in a soda. That's the bubbles in a soda. And then we have jazz, which is kind of music. So let's look at this word bliss, okay? So we talked about it just a little bit before. We have the BL blend there, and then we have the vowel, and then we have the double S at the end. So let's look at this word. Let's go back and let's just talk just for a minute about all those letters. The S, the F, and the Z, when they are at the end of a word, they're going to be doubled. Okay, so there are a few exceptions to those rules, and we'll talk about those at another time, but most of the time, when you have an S, an F, or a Z at the end of a word with a short vowel, they're going to be doubled. Okay? So that's the San Francisco Zoo rule. So let's move on. We have this word. Who knows what this word says? All right, yes, it says dot. And we remember that with a D, we can put our mouth in a circle first, dot. Okay, so let's see. Come on. Okay, so when we look at the word dot, our vowel's marked in the wrong spot, isn't it? That's just one dot, right? But if we have more than one dot, we say dots, and we just put an S at the end. And that's what we call plural. And most of the time, when you make a word plural, when you make it say more than one, you just put an S at the end of it. So that's how it works with a vowel and one consonant. But sometimes, oh, and then when you make a word plural, you just prove the original word and then you underline the ending. on this, when you just write this word a second time and underline the ending. And they're in the wrong spot. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so we have dot and dots here. And then this one is cat. So how would we make that plural? Right, we just add an S, cats. And then we have sled, and more than one sled would be sled. You have two sleds. Sorry, there we go. And so on this one, on these words, we would arc the blend, mark the vowel over here, arc the blend, mark the vowel to prove the word. And then if we were making it plural, we would just write the word, underline the ending, which is S here. Okay, so on the next slide, let's look at cliff. If we're looking at one cliff, we just say cliff. But if we see more than one, if there's several mountains in the distance, we just add an S because the F just says, so we say cliffs, and it sounds fine. So we arc the blend here, prove the word over here, and then on this side, we underline the S. And again, it's not, everything's not there like it's supposed to be, but we'll make it work. Okay, and on the next slide, we have box. Okay, so sometimes when I come home, I have one box at my door, but if I've ordered more than one thing, I might have two, boxes, right? And so I can't just put an S there because the X, when you say the sound for X, do you hear that S at the end of X? So we have to put an E in there. So here we have box, we prove the word, but if we have more than one box, we say boxes. So we put an ES there. So when we have an X at the end of a word, we use ES. All right, then we have class. So most of the time, if I'm just a regular classroom teacher, I have one class, right? But when I'm the reading specialist at your school, I go to more than one class, right? So I go to 10 classes, right? And you see it ends in that S again, so we have to make it an ES. So over here, we're going to prove the word, mark the blend, mark the vowel, and then over here we write classes, and we do the ES. So if the word ends with double S, you add ES. So if it ends with an X or if it ends with double S, we add ES. Okay. Or if we have the word like buzz, so if a bee buzzes, right? Or if it has, or if there's more than one buzzes, then we add ES. So the words that end with a Z also add ES. Okay, so let's read some of these words here. I'll read the first line, and then you can read with me, okay? So this first line with me, bliss, mess, class, moss, fuss. Okay, now you try this one. These words all end with double F. Okay, stuff, cuff, cliff, sniff, fluff. Did you get them all right? Okay, and then let's read this last line. Buzz, jazz, fizz, huff, spaz. That's a nonsense word, right? Okay, so let's look at these plurals. These are all more than one, so all of these that end with the F, you see we just add an S, right? So let's look at this one. Let's read it together. Cuffs, cliffs, puffs. You do these two. Sniffs, buffs. Good. All right, let's do the same thing on this line. Classes, kisses, glasses, flosses, and you do this one. Buzzes. Good. And we'll do the last line. Boxes, foxes, taxes. You do these two. Faxes, mixes. Good. All right, let's read this sentence. 6 foxes are on the cliff. Your turn. 6 foxes are on the cliff. How many foxes are on the cliff? Where are the foxes? All right, and then this last sentence, you read it. There are 10 boxes of floss. How many boxes of floss? What do we have in the boxes? All right, great. So I have a practice for you to work on today. You have 2 sections where you're going to add the blends to words, or the F or the Z or the S, and then you have one where you have to, well, I can't remember. So and you have to read some words to me, and then you have another one where you're just changing the word to make another word. So sorry. So I hope everybody has a great day, and I want you to really study over all of these lessons because I believe you're going to have a spelling test tomorrow.